Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Operation Miss podcast. I'm supposed to be telling y'all what we talk about, but I'm so excited today. I'm so excited. Okay, where we bring on lovely guests to help equip you to show up to pregnancy as healthy as possible, get through pregnancy without going through any unnecessary complications, and then thrive following delivery. Because we know that the risk of something happening does not end after we deliver. Sometimes things arise afterwards, and we deserve to have support all along the way. And so today I want to reintroduce you all. So if you've been listening to the podcast from the very beginning, then you know about Gwen and Betty. Okay. You know about her lovely husband, her precious child. And so now she has had a second one. And just to watch this journey has been such a privilege. And so, Gwen, I know I'm going to let you introduce yourself and your lovely family, but it's so beautiful because I got to see how between pregnancies, you loved your baby before she even got here, right? Like you were making decisions so that when I get pregnant, when I carry, when I deliver, I'm going to be in the best position possible. And so Addie Grace was well loved before she was even born. And not just by you, but by your entire village. And we keep hearing now, it takes a village, it takes a village. It really does, but not everybody has the type of village that you have. And so to be able to see it really come full circle, really from the first birth to the second, and how you were able to utilize that loving village that you had because you just knew more, right? You knew more and you were better equipped. And so your journey, I share it so often that I'm happy we finally get to record it so that people can hear it from your point of view. But the way your husband loves you, the way your family loves you, and then the way that you love everyone around you is really admirable. And I just think it's the key. It's the key to combating maternal death. Women are dying, they don't have to. And if they can latch on to the keys that you're going to share from your experience, I think that they'll be a lot better off. So please go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and reintroduce yourself to some people. I just love you and I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yes, so I am Gwen. They're not in the room now, but I'm pretty sure they're going to make a guest appearance. My husband, Nick, our 3-year-old son, Nikki J, and our beautiful, she is 5 months today, Addie Grace. So, yes, that is our family, our sweet little family.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you got to tell us. So, for the people who did not hear your first, and just kind of as a summary, tell us about your first pregnancy experience and delivery and postpartum recovery. Just kind of give us a little summary, and then we'll jump into what you did between pregnancies to show up differently to your second one.
Okay, so a quick summary of my first pregnancy. So before we became pregnant, so when we got married in 2015, I say around 2016, we were ready, okay, we're ready to have kids. It actually took us a while. 2019 is when we got pregnant. So during that time, we were trying to figure out what was going on. I was going to different doctors, and it was strange because their remedy, everyone said the same thing. Oh, you just have PCOS, or we need to put you on some birth control or something to stabilize your cycle. And basically, when we were, the doctors were just rereading the chart, just saying the same thing, and so there was never really a solution. And so I ended up going to a natural medicine doctor. He was just like, hey, let's just do a body reset. Let's just, let's do some clean eating, hydration. He was just like, hold off on these medications. The doctors are, so let's just do a body reset. Lose some weight, do some exercising, and let's just see how that does for your body. And in 30 days, he told me, let's try whole 30 days, body just reset. After 30 days, reset, cycles were fine. And then I just continued to maintain that. And then in 2019, we became pregnant with Nikki J. And so through that pregnancy, we were just so excited to be pregnant. We were like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. we were just so excited about being pregnant. We were just like, everything's gonna be sunshine and rainbows, and you can't tell us nothing. That's just what it's gonna be. And so we were just so excited about it. As we were going to doctor's appointments, I had scheduled my doctor in the same city that my husband was working so that he would be able to come with me to my doctor's appointments. And so the office was just 5 minutes from his job. So at that time they were overlapped at work. So he was able to like sneak away and come with me to my appointments. And so we noticed, in the beginning, it was fine. Everything was going good. But we noticed as it got closer and closer to my due date, like my blood pressure was creeping up. We did ask the doctors if there was something that we could get to get it down. They were just like, no, you're fine. You're fine. And it was getting up there. But they were just like, no, this is fine. It's normal with pregnancy. And basically, they just kind of just brushed it off that it was going to be okay. And so I was going in there, blood pressure was like 145 over like 92. And it just kept going up until finally, I wasn't seeing the same doctor. When I went to the doctor's office, it was never the same doctor. And so the main doctor I saw in the beginning, I saw him for my first few appointments, but as it got closer to my delivery date, like it was always a different provider. And they were just kind of like, well, we'll just let him know and we'll see what he says. But when I would come back for follow-up, it would be another provider. Until I got to about 33 weeks. And then they were just like, well, we're going to need you to come in every few days because we're just concerned about your blood pressure. And so keep in mind, I picked an office close to my husband's job. So that was like 45 minutes away from the house. And I was like, that's a lot of driving every 3 days for an appointment. We were like, what's going on? Ended up the last time I went to the appointment, they were just like, you have to go to the hospital for some observation. Got there, the doctor was like, no, immediately, this baby needs to come out. They sent us to Macon. I was in there for 3 days and they said baby has to come out due to preeclampsia. I had a C-section. I was in the hospital for about a week post delivery. My baby was in the NICU for a month. Then Nicky J was in for exactly 1 month. He was there for 1 month. And then we went home and then we just, new parents, first baby, the peak of COVID, it was 2020. And so we were just like, we don't want anybody here. Like, we just got him home. We don't want him to get sick. And it was just, and so we were just, just trying to get a rhythm. And Nick's job at the time, he was just working 3 days on and then he was off. And so it was interesting. It was interesting because our due date wasn't until July. So his time off didn't start until July. So we had our son in May. And so May and June, like my husband was still working until the time off came for when his actual due date was in July. And that's when he was able to get off from work and be home with me. And so I would definitely say recovery was a lot difficult because my main partner was not able to be there with me throughout. After we had our son, it wasn't until like almost 2 months later, then he was able to be present for the recovery process. And my blood pressure was still high. And until I met Catherine and was introduced to Operation Miss, my cousin Tiana Harris. My cousins were coming through to check on us and love on us. And Tiana had just found out she was pregnant, and she was, it was 2021, so she was pregnant. So she was being monitored, and she was asking me, just having a heart to heart, mom to mom, like, how are you doing? How are you recovering? And I was just like, I was being transparent. Like, it's not going as I thought it would. I'm still struggling with my blood pressure. Doctors are saying the same thing. Just take this medicine and then you'll be fine. I just told her I didn't feel comfortable taking it because I really felt like the medicine was trying to take me out. And it's not funny, but that's how I felt. I would take it and I was just like, it's dropping my heart rate too low. I'm not able to take care of my son with taking this medicine. It's like, it's been over a year since I had my son. And the only thing that the OBGYN or primary care doctor is saying is just, you just need to be consistent with taking this medicine. And I'm just like, if I take this medicine as prescribed, as consistent, then like I would not be here, because I can feel it doing something to me. And so, and I kept like switching doctors, and I was just getting the same result. So when Tiana told me about Operation Mist, I was just like, I was on my last leg. I was like, I don't have nothing to lose. So I was just like, and if my cousin trusts her, I trust her too. And so, and I'll just never forget, Tiana had gave me Catherine's phone number, and I called her. It was just like the hugest sigh of relief, like from, oh my God, I'm trying not to cry, but it's just gonna happen. But it was just such a huge sigh of relief for me, because I had been to see so many people and I wasn't heard. And then just that one conversation just put me at ease that someone else had experienced what I went through. I'm so sorry, Catherine.
I cry all the time. Believe me, it's coming.
But it's just that moment. Like, it's just been such a blessing to have this organization and to have all these incredible women in my life. And so it's just been up and up. It's just been up and up. But I will never forget my first experience and how rough it was, and feeling like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be here to see my son grow up, because I wasn't able to recover, and I wasn't feeling, and I could feel myself just dwindling and just reaching out to different lifelines, and just I wasn't getting better.
Wow. You know, Gwen, I think about your story, and I think about all the different aspects of it that I want to just pull out right now. Number one, you told your doctors over and over again, my blood pressure is high. My blood pressure is high. My blood pressure is high. And some people say, well, the solution is to tell somebody else. And so you told somebody else and nothing happened. It is so frustrating to be in that situation and not have a choice. You chose a provider that was close to your husband's job. So instead of, you are having to choose between having your husband by your side,
yes,
having providers who will listen to you. It's a very hard choice to make. And so swapping providers is not always as easy as people think that it is. But what I will say is, y'all didn't take the easy road the second time, right? So you were just like, easy or not, we are making this happen. And exactly. And so that part I had to bring out. And then in terms of what happened afterwards, it is to have a NICU experience. I don't know if people understand how hard that is, how hard it is to bond, how hard it is to function, how hard it is to be separated from your child, sometimes from your support person, because only one person goes to the NICU while you're staying. I mean, it's difficult to navigate that. But what I want to say is, you being honest with Tiana is what we need to understand is, okay, Tiana asking the question that, as a mom, from a mom's perspective, right? Because now she's on baby number 3. So she knows.
Number 3.
Right? She knows that it's not always as easy as people think it is. And so her asking that question just shows the extent of her love for you, and her understanding that sometimes you may not want to say how hard it is, but if someone asks the question, that you'll be more open, and then we can then provide solutions. And so for anybody listening, Gwen's transparency is what's gotten her a lot of the help that she has received has been because she was willing to be vulnerable. Yes. And when I think about God and, the verse that talks about his strength being made perfect in our weakness, I think that in that verse, he's also telling us, I provided people who can be strong in your weakness too. Yeah. But you have to be vulnerable with them just like you are with me. And so I am grateful. You have no idea. I remember where I was when I was talking with you, and I remember how much joy I felt when I got off phone. And I just prayed that our connection wouldn't just be because of Operation Mist, right? but that your spirit, I have no idea how you can exist in that place and then still exude the kind of love and concern and consideration that you have for other people and their journey, right? Because, sharing your journey is therapeutic sometimes. And I just remember when I was sharing with you, I thought, this is why I had to have that experience so that I could connect with women like her and we both feel empowered at the end of the conversation. And so with Operation Miss, it is very little of what I feel. People are like, oh, I'm so grateful for Operation Miss. But God is constantly reminding me that when I left the hospital, I was very, very sad because I got to see miracles every day. I worked with people with brain injury, spinal cord injury, stroke, and they were told things that could never happen and God made them happen. And so when it was time for me to transition out of the hospital, I cried. I was like, I want to see you move every day. And God was like, you have no clue.
Oh, yeah.
What I have in store for you, girl. And then he brought me Gwen. And I was like, okay, I get it. I really, really get it. Now I get to see not only him and his miraculous ways, but how community can help produce those things that you see and just say, wow, God is in the midst of that. And so I have never regretted the pivot, not a day, because I get to meet women like you and hear your stories and be connected with you for a lifetime. It's so beyond motherhood. It's so beyond Operation Miss. I love you like my sister, and so.
Oh, you can't tell me I'm not your sister. No one can tell me that you're not.
I love you. I love you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's flash forward. So where do we want to start? So after the pregnancy, delivery, now you're getting everything back on track. Everything's up and up. Okay, so start us at that point in your journey. So what did you do to prep for pregnancy? And then tell us about your pregnancy.
And so I was very, very heavily reliant on my watch. As soon as I hopped on Operation Mist, and then I did my month of observation and they got my baseline, you all got my baseline. We were able to see exactly what was spiking, and I was able to pinpoint okay, with you all's guidance, when to take my blood pressures, and what to look out for. After eating, 30 minutes after eating, look at your watch. Is it going orange? Check your blood pressure. What is it sitting at? And then I also followed up with the cardiologist, and then he was telling me to go on the DASH diet. So basically, clean eating, but only use DASH, Mrs. DASH. Don't use any other seasonings. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. And so I was heavily relying on onions and cilantro and natural herbs to season my food. And I still do. So, but you just get used to it. You're just like mine. I don't need salt.
Yeah.
And after I went on the Mrs. Dash, after I added on the Mrs. Dash, I was already eating good. But then after I cut the salt and only did Mrs. Dash, just 30 pounds just fell off. And I went back to the cardiologist, and they were like, what happened here? I did what you told me to do. I'm not going to be on medication. That's something that I'm not doing. Unnecessary interventions is what Operation Mist is against. And that's what we are going to. I'm not doing that. And so, I lost the weight, and then weight just kept coming off, and I was just I feel good. I'm able to do more with my son. We're being super active, exercising, and just a happy household all the way around because mama's at her best, so everybody's at their best, And so we were just, and still are, we're just having a phenomenal time. We're just that's how I felt okay, now we're ready.
Yeah.
Now we're ready to. Now it can be go time anytime because we're right where we need to be. We're communicating great too, because it was the first year of our son's life. I wasn't feeling good, and we're still learning the family dynamics of being a family of three. And communication we were just learning how to communicate better because I just always didn't feel good until my husband was just hey, we're new parents, we got to come up with a rhythm, but we couldn't find a rhythm because I never really felt good. And so I was like trying not to, exert myself too much, which, there was a lot of times where nothing was being done. Like, I'm just like, look, all I could do today was take care of the baby. Like, I can do nothing else. Like, I'm not taking that medicine. But, and I'm not going to overexert myself. So it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yes.
So, and so thankful for my husband, because he picked up the weight in every other area. He was just like, okay, well, we're going to figure this out. We're just going to have to figure this out. Like, all right, well, that's what we're going to have to do.
Yes. And I love what you said, Gwen. If every woman could show up to pregnancy saying it can be go time at any time,
Yes.
because they know that they have put in the work to show up to pregnancy healthy. That's the whole bag, Gwen. It's the whole plan if we just show up correctly, because it is hard to pinpoint why things happen during pregnancy. And so that's clear with research and different things, that sometimes you can't pin things down to one thing. But what we do know is the healthier you show up, the better off you'll be, right? Whether a complication arises or not. And so we want every woman to be able to say it's go time anytime.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so how did we get going? Tell us about the pregnancy.
So this is what happened. So I will never forget, we were getting ready to go to Texas for my sister-in-law's retirement. I got a text from Catherine. She was just like, hey, is there something you want to tell me? And I was just like, oh no, am I sick? I was just like, because I saw my watch was orange. I was just like, am I sick? I was just like, I promise you, I'm not hiding it. I was like, if I'm sick, I just didn't know I was sick. I was just like, because it was still like around, COVID was still around. I was just like, did I get COVID again? Because the first time I got COVID, Catherine told me, like, she was just like, hey, is there something going on? I was like, no, I don't think so. She was just like, hydrate, quarantine. And I was just like, I wonder why she's saying that. Next day, I found out I had COVID. I was like, well. So when she sent me the text again, she was just like, is there something you want to tell me? I was like, oh man, I got it again. She was just like, no, like, have you taken a pregnancy test? I was just like, no, I haven't thought about this. I was just like, no, I haven't missed my cycle yet, I don't think. She was like, we'll take a pregnancy test tomorrow. I was just like, yeah, I need to take one. I'm getting ready to go make it. I need to know what's going on. So I told my husband, I was just like, hey, he bring pregnancy test home from work. He's just like, yeah, sure, no problem. I get up the next morning, I check it. I text her back, yep, I'm pregnant. Yep, I'm pregnant.
That is so.
How did you know before? Like, I mean, because I was tracking it, I was just like, well, my cycle is not. It can sometimes it'll be like a day or two off. But I was just like, I haven't even like really missed it yet.
It's look, the watch will tell the truth every time.
Oh, the truth, because we were getting ready. We were flying out like 2 days. In 2 days. So I was just like, oh my gosh, we fly out in 2 days. Like, we might have to cancel this trip if I'm sick. And so she was like, no, take a test tomorrow. And then so my husband came home because we were packing up because we were going to the airport the next day. So I was just like, I had a little surprise for him. I was just like, oh, Nikki J put something together for you. And I just put like all Nikki J's newborn stuff in there. He's like, oh, why did he pack all his newborn stuff? And then I had put a onesie in there that had like new something unlocked, a new player unlocked or a new level unlocked. And he was just like, what is this? And then he saw the test. He was like, oh my gosh, we're pregnant. I was like, yes, we are. We did it again.
You did it again.
God did it again. God did it again.
Amen.
And so I knew from the very beginning, I was just like, okay, OB, like, we're not doing the same thing we did last time. So we went to Texas after we celebrated. We did tell our family. Then when we came back, it was like game time. Okay, first of all, we're sticking with this. How we're eating, how we're exercising, we're going to stick with that. we need to plan out what doctor we're going to go see and everything. So we ended up, in the beginning, we started going to see a doctor in Fayetteville that would allow us to do a VBAC. And so I'll never forget, every appointment I went to, they were just like, yeah, you did have preeclampsia, so we would recommend that you being on aspirin. And I was just like, okay, I'll consider it. And I was just like, nope, I'm going to talk to Catherine about it, see how she feels. I was just like, because I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything I don't need to do just for you to be comfortable. I'm not doing that. Yeah. And so we did our research. Catherine had research, and we were just like, no, I'm not doing aspirin. I was just like, I'm checking myself. They're checking me. And I was just like, if at any point, if it ever comes to that, then but I was just like, I'm not taking aspirin. They were just like, well, that's just our way of staying ahead of things in case you do. And I was like, we're not speaking that over my life right now. Like, I'm not getting preeclampsia second round, first of all. So first, like, no, we're not speaking, don't speak that into my life. I'm not taking this aspirin just for you to be comfortable. I'm not doing that. And so, and they just didn't, I could tell the doctors were not prepared for the questions that we had, because that was another thing. We came with the force. We came with questions. I would let Catherine know and Amber know anytime I had an appointment, what week the appointment was, and like all my symptoms and everything for that month written down. And so we went with questions. Okay, like, this is what we have questions about. And you could tell they were ready, just used to like, oh, let's come in, let's check you, let's do ultrasound, blood work. All right, let's go. Like, no, I got other questions. Like, so what is your protocol for this? Like, what is your protocol for that? Like, what, like the last doctor I went to, they just let my blood pressure go up. And they declined to do any medication. Like, if you do see an incline in blood pressure, what do you usually do? Like, I need some answers. And I was like, if I were to do the aspirin, when would I be taken off of it to avoid bleeding out? Like, they were just like, no, you would just take it all the way. I don't know. No. They're just like, well, there's no chance of you like bleeding out. It's very small. I'm like, no. I was like, you can't give me clear-cut answers. They couldn't give me like statistics on like how many women have you put on aspirin and they've safely delivered. How many moms have you had that had previously had preeclampsia that had it recurring. They just couldn't give me any answers, and that you have proof that the aspirin like actually helped. And so they were just like, we just know that that's just standard protocol. Everybody does it. And I was just like, well, what does your office do? I'm not asking about the world. I'm asking about what goes on in the office, what goes on with your moms. And so at this time it was almost close to the end of 2022. And we were thinking like, okay, this time when we have a baby, he was in 2. We have a 2-year-old. So if anything happens to where we need to go to the doctor, we need to make sure we have a plan in place who's going to get our son. We made sure like our bags and stuff were packed and everything. Like his stuff was packed, had stuff written out for him in case somebody needs to get him like at any point in time. So we were just being prepared on that front. If something did happen, like what are we going to do? And so we were just like, look, the best option for us is like, because my family at that time where we were living, they're an hour away. It makes sense for us to be basically just go that route, be down there and stay with my mom so that if anything happens, like it's fine. Like we don't have to worry about our son and we can just go ahead and look at providers down there. So that's when we knew we were just like our best option. Like it's just to be there, because if we're here and we have to go to the hospital, you have to wait for somebody to come get him. Like, no, if we're there is my sister stays right next door. Like Mark and Tiana stay right up the road. Like we have family members right there, like all on that driveway. If anything hits the fan, somebody can be there in like 0.2 seconds and then we can just go. And the hospital's only like 15 minutes away. So there's no like, oh my gosh, who's going to get him? Like, no, let's just go there. Somebody can get him like in no time and we can just keep it going. And so.
And wait, so this is so good. I hate interrupting you because you're so good at telling your story. But I want to ask you, are you naturally a person that will ask questions? Was that natural to you to be like going into the doctor's office, asking those questions? Or is it something that was developed in you over time? Because I feel like some people get intimidated if they know the protocol, they know what doctors expect, and they have the list of questions there. So how was that for you? How did that feel in the moment, I guess, is the question.
With my first like I had questions, but I think like with Nick and I, like when doctors would initially just give us like the generic answers, we would just be like, oh, okay, well, you know, we would just kind of like just be like, all right, well, that's just what they do. But this time, no, I have questions. I don't want a generic answer. I want an answer about me, like right now. I was like, also, I would go into the portal after my appointment. I would read through every single note they put in my chart. And if I saw that they like noted something incorrectly, I would confront them about the next appointment. Like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but you put this in my chart. This needs to be corrected. I did not decline genetic testing or whatever it is, or I did not say this. I don't know how this was miscommunicated, but you guys need to fix this. This was when we were at the Fayetteville office. And so I was reading through everything, or I was just like, you put this in my chart that we did this. We did not do this. So this needs to be, I don't know if this is for insurance purposes or what's going on, but you're going to fix my chart. You are going to fix my chart. And you're going to answer these questions. Because they were even putting in my chart, patient is taking aspirin. I was like, I did not agree to take the aspirin. I said I would consider it. You need to remove this from my chart. I'm not taking that aspirin.
Right.
But they would put it in my chart, patient is on aspirin. Like, I was like, I'm not on aspirin. And so when we were switched over to my sister, Ashley Harris, gotta give my sister a shout out. Well, we made up our mind, like, as it got close to the end of 2022, like, look, when we're gonna move closer to our family, I told my sister, like, hey, I talked to what doctor do I need to go see down there? This is my expectations. This is what we're wanting. We already knew we wanted to do a VBAC. And honestly, I'm just gonna be honest, I would not have considered doing a VBAC if it was not for Operation Miss, because I'm typically like, if the doctor tells me this is the safest way to do this, I'm gonna go about that. But after, thankfully, I had my tribe with me, and they were just like, nope, this is what we do. Your body can do this. And I just felt so empowered. Like, I'm capable of doing this. I can have this baby, and nobody's going to tell me that I have to have a C-section, because that is not the rule. like unless it's like absolutely like, hey, like, you could potentially bleed out if something, like, okay, well, let me know the risk or whatnot. But if you check me, you're like, nope, we're good to go. You can have a vaginal, then that's what we're gonna do. And so I was very thankful for that, because honestly, after the first C-section, I was like, oh, I guess I just have to have C-sections. But no, I got the right information from the right people, and I just felt like, when you have people speaking into you that love you so much and telling you your body was made to do this, you can do this. Don't let anyone tell you that, like, your body is not made to do this and that you have no other option to do it. Because I was honestly, and then I never get, even relatives were just like, well, you had a C-section. They say that it's not safe for you. I was like, I know what they say. Know what they say. They say what is convenient for them. I don't have to have a C-section. I can have a VBAC. I'm going to have a VBAC. My body can birth this baby, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I was just like, when you hear the truth, you just block out all the noise. Like,
amen.
Nope, this is my truth. This is how God made me. And if there's a will, there's a way. And so you're just having that poured on, and just continuous prayers flowing over me for like almost 2 years. Yeah, that since 2021, and I had her 2023. Yeah, just having, a group of women speaking positivity and love over you, and just basically telling you, like, my body lined up with what it needed to do.
Yes.
It wasn't lined up, it was lined up.
Yes.
Powerful prayer warriors with the war with me.
Yes.
And so after that, we ended up going to see, I called 2 doctors. One doctor, they were just like, no, you have to do C-section. I was like, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And then I called, and I was just like, nope, there's no further information. There's no other anything else for us to discuss, because when I call you asking for a service and you're telling me what I have to do, then I'm just gonna, all right, then we just need to explore the options. Another doctor.
Yes, yes. I love it. So someone just made the statement a couple of days ago, and I love that you just said that. Someone was told that it's illegal to allow a woman to have a VBAC after a C-section in Georgia, in the state of Georgia. And when you you live in the state of Georgia and you had a vaginal birth. And so people need to understand that all of the information that you hear is not true all the time. It's just there are providers who choose whether they want to help a woman have a vaginal birth after she has a cesarean delivery. And that is their choice. And so if you run into a doctor like that, then you have to do what Gwen did and say, okay, moving on. It's their right to not support a vaginal birth after a cesarean. And it's our right to find a provider who will. And so I just love that you exercise that right. You didn't move up there closer to your family only to end up in a situation that you didn't want to be in. You can win both ways. And that's what I think people feel like they have to choose. And you are showing people now, no, I can have this and that. My cake can eat it too. Nobody ever, when I listen to that phrase, I'm like, nobody ever sat there and looked at cake they wanted and didn't eat it. Right? Like very rarely do we do that. And so we don't have to do that with healthcare.
No, we do not. We do not have to settle. Anybody that you do not have to settle in any shape or form. Like, don't do it. Do not do it at all. And that's what I'm not settling at all.
Yes, yes. And when you hear the truth, you block out all the noise. So anything that speaks against that truth, you have to block it out, because Gwen, you did it early on in the process. But what I find is that if you meet a woman and she's at week 40 and she's just now considering blocking out the noise, it becomes overwhelming.
Oh, yes.
And she ends up caving. And so even if her body was capable, even though her body is capable, she caves. And so I would love for you to talk about, as you got closer to the end. Oh, and how you chose your provider. So don't skip past this part. So you did choose another provider, but how your mindset all along just really helped guide your decisions, really, because it did.
Oh, yes, because as soon I was just like, I'm having a VBAC. So as soon as I found out, I was like, no, I'm having this baby vaginally. So from day one, I was just like, Lord, if it's in your will, there's a way. You just tell me, and I'm just going to move how you want me to move. And so, but there's a will, there's a way. And like I said, even before I was pregnant, all the women, people are already praying over your body as you're praying over your body for everything to get into alignment to do what it needs to do. And so, I honestly, your mind protected at all costs, because everything else will follow after that. But I was just like, after I was told, and honestly, after in my recovery process, once I saw how I knew Catherine was from day one a godsend to me, but as I saw my body just transform in like under a year and just recover like that, I was just like, you can't tell me that what she tells me is not the truth. Like, God sent her to me for a reason. So if she tells me something, I know wholeheartedly she's researched it. She's done what she is not just like, hey, I think, no, she's telling me what she knows, like in her heart, in her spirit. And so I was just like, okay. She said, I can have a VBAC. I can have a VBAC. My body was made to birth this baby.
Yes.
So I was just like, anything anybody else has to say, I'm like, nope, that is not a part of our pledge.
That's right.
Not a part of our pledge. We speak this over ourselves. I'm speaking this over myself. Like, no, that's not, I'm not in agreement with that. And so my sister, she goes to see Dr. Chambers. So she told me, check out Dr. Chambers. He'll let you do a VBAC, because she was under VBAC. And so I was just like, all right, I called him. I went in. I got to say, coolest doctor I ever met. Coolest doctor, hands down. I got in there. Me and Nick went to meet him because we were like, all right, let's see, let's see if this the one. Knew from day one. He's just like, look, I know you had a C-section, but I advocate here for women to have vaginal births. So I want you to have a VBAC. And I pray, he's like, I want you to want that for you too, because I know you can do this. As soon as he said that, I was like, say less.
Yes. Yes. When you told us that. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, he flipped the script, right?
It's just
We
like,
feeling like,
I was just like, say
yes.
what? Okay. I was like, say less. I was just like, you're speaking it over me too. Like my provider is now speaking it over me. Like, no, you're gonna have a vaginal delivery. My operation minister is speaking it over me. I'm speaking it over me. Everybody, attached. So anytime something counts, I was like, nope. My doctor already said that this is what we gonna do. Like, I've already been speaking it. My tribe is speaking it. This is what we're doing. And so as it got closer and closer to our delivery day, I was just like, well, let's just do what we need to do: exercise, hydrate, and just love on one another, have a good time. I will say, like, as it like was quickly approaching, because by this time we had decided, like, look, we probably will have more kids. Like, it makes more sense just to move closer to family. So now we had it on top of this, like, we started searching for homes. We were just like, no, let's go ahead and just move as well. Let's just go ahead and let's just commit to this whole thing. Like, we just need to be here. We have our support system here, and it just makes more sense. And we were like, for follow-up appointments too, going to the OB, and we were just like, yeah, we just need to just go ahead and make this transition. And so as we got closer and closer to our delivery date, and I was just like, man, this is like really like happening. This is like really coming up quick. But like, my son was having like and still is having the time of his life. He gets to see his cousins like every single day. His grandma is just spoiling the mess out of him. Like, his aunts and uncles and cousins, it's just like, you can't tell this kid nothing. Like, he's just like, I went from, seeing them every time we would drive down to like, now we live here and I can see them whenever I want. Like, what is this? And so I just love, and that just warmed my heart so much too. Like, look how happy he is. Like, look how easy this is. We're not having to drive back and forth and, stay for a little while. Like, okay, guys, we got to get on the road. It's getting late. And I was just like, we can stay as long as we want.
Yes.
We just live like 10 minutes away. It's fine. And so we went to our doctor, and we were just like, okay. He says, now if it gets to, he's like, I prefer for women not to go past 1 week. After 1 week past your due date, I do want us to consider, like, okay, what are we going to do? He was just like, because I don't want baby to get too big. And so I was just like, okay, I can understand that. And so it was like the week of my due date. So the week before I was getting checked, he was just like, haven't dilated it yet, but he was just like, let's just check next week and let's just see how it goes. We going for the next week for an appointment. We're just like, okay, having a good time. And then I was just like, our doctor was checking, and he was just like, oh, okay, you're dilated. He said, you're dilating. He's just like, well, looks like we're having a baby tomorrow. He's just like, I want to put a Foley bulb up there. And I knew what a Foley, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm familiar with this. Like, we talked about this. And he was just like, we want to do a Foley bulb first thing in the morning, and we want to get you admitted. And I was like, wait, like, what we doing? Like, we're putting a Foley bulb, we're getting admitted. So then I was just like, okay, now I'm getting a little tense, because I was just like, I just came in for a check, and I was like, I just came in to get checked, and he's just like, looks like we're having a baby tomorrow. And then he was just like, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. And then he was just like, out. And I was just like, well, I thought you said we could go 1 week after our due date. And he was just like, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I will let you go 1 week after your due date. He's just like, the problem is I will not be able to be here. And the person that will be covering for me is not, he's like, honestly, they're not going to let you labor. If they see anything, they're going to immediately run for a C-section. So he just told us straight up, like, I have to go out of town. If I was here, I would give you the 1 week. I give you another week, and we could let you do it. He was like, but if we don't do this while I'm here, and he's like, and he's like, I want to be here for this birth. I want to see you through this. He was just like, if I leave and the other person comes, he was just like, I cannot guarantee that they will let you have a VBAC. And he was just like, and that's not something that I want to happen, because I know you can do this. And so I was just like, well, I just told him, I was like, I appreciate your transparency. I was like, but tomorrow? You could have given me like, let me know last week. I was just like, but he's just like, I didn't want to put any pressure. I'm just letting you know. You can wait till next week. I want to be here because I know you want to be back. I don't know. He said you can put other people in charge, but you don't know if they're going to honor, your patient's wishes. I know what you want. You don't know how the doctors are going to respond. They may be uncomfortable. Like, no, we need to do a C-section, like, or for whatever reason. So I was just like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm coming in. Looks like I'm getting this volleyball.
Yes. Now, Gwen, here's the thing. So, let's talk about this. First of all, his honesty, right? His willingness to have a conversation with you.
Yes.
Him really taking into account what he knew you wanted and needed, really, and his protectiveness over you. I think that as providers, that's our job, is to protect our patients and to give them the ability to make an informed decision.
Yes.
And so if he had used any other tactic outside of honesty, you would have picked up on that. And then you might have ended up with a provider that you shouldn't have been with. But exactly. I think that we owe that to our patients because we are anti-unnecessary interventions, right? But we also know that there are other things that factor into our decisions. And so if we're given all of the information, then we can say, because if imagine that worst came to worst, things did not go the way you planned. You chose that.
Yes.
He didn't choose that for you. Another provider didn't choose that for you. You chose it with all the information that you had. And I just thought when we conversed, I felt like it was the hardest decision for you to make thus far in the entire pregnancy, right? And the neat thing, though, was the gentle way that he decided to start the induction. That is a sign of a doctor who, number one, a lot of doctors will say, we won't induce at all. So you want to have a VBAC, it's almost like, well, you're going to do it on your own. We're not going to do the Foley bulb. We're not going to do anything to help you along. So you have doctors who are there. And then you have doctors who may intervene, but they go too fast. Like they go too much too fast. And then you have ones like him who say, let's meet in the middle. I don't want to induce you. But I know your body can do this. Like I'm sitting here like, do you know how many women, you talk about tears. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago and she was telling me that her provider told her that she thought that she wanted to have a VBAC. She's not going to have a VBAC. This is like week after week saying this stuff. And week after week, mom is defending herself and just didn't have anywhere else to go. And when she came in that last time, they said, look, we're going to do an ultrasound. And if your baby's not head down, we're doing a C-section. And before they even checked her for the ultrasound, they prepped her for surgery. They made her go through, watched her put on all the things to prep her for surgery. And then they did it. And essentially we're like, see, we told you. It was just, I think that so what her message was to people listening was what you say matters as a provider. And I just think that for us, we always want to be the voice of hope for moms because there is nothing wrong with hoping. And if ever your hope is deferred, you have a tribe around you to support you, even when things don't go your way. And so I just feel like there is nothing wrong with him telling you your body was designed to do this. Yes. You just don't hear a lot of providers saying that anymore. It makes me so happy. Okay, keep going. So Foley bulb next morning.
So I was just like, me and Nick were just like, okay, because after we left the doctor's office, I was just like, we need to call Catherine. I need to call her because if I change my mind, I need to call him and tell him like I can't, not tomorrow. Like we'll just have to ride it out another week. But called you immediately, had the conversation. You talked to me, then you talked to Nick, and then after we got off the phone, we talked to each other. We prayed on it. We were just like, look, we know for sure we want him to deliver our baby. Like he's been rocking with us. He's been honest with us. Like honestly, like if push came to shove, if I was in the room with another doctor that I didn't know, I would have been very tense. I was just like, I know him. I'm comfortable with him. If I get a Foley bulb in there and, I'm going to be more relaxed with him delivering this baby. And that's going to make for a better labor, so I'm not going to, I don't want to have any, put myself in the predicament where I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know how they feel about VBAC. And I don't know if me and that person are going to vibe that well. I know I have a great relationship with him. This doctor, we're vibing very well. Like, we have a good understanding. He believes I can have this VBAC. He knows I can do this. And so let's do it. So we got up early in the morning. We went in. They showed us like all the different balls, like peanut balls and everything, to help us along the way to labor. And they put the Foley bulb in. And so I'll never forget, because our last couple meetings before, we talked about breathing the baby down. And so like we were practicing like breathing the baby down. This is how we're supposed to breathe the baby down. And then I was just very happy to see like the different tools they had to assist, like at the hospital, the different balls and stuff like that to help with the progression of the labor. And so, but one thing I will never forget, one of the most important things I remember was to rest. If your body needs rest, rest. So the doctor had already said, like, hey, if the Foley bulb falls out, he was just like, I will want to break your water. And he said, and then that will help us to go ahead and like get this thing going. And so I was just like, okay. So the Foley bulb fell out. I felt it fall out. I caught it with my thigh. And I didn't tell anybody it fell out. Because I told myself I need to give myself some time to prepare for this. Yeah. If he comes in here right now and breaks my water, like, it fell out. Honestly, I'm gonna be very honest. It fell out shortly after he put it in. The Foley bulb fell out because the first one he put in immediately fell out. So then he blew it up bigger. He put another one in and blew it up bigger, and then it fell out shortly after that. And I was just like, because he said, if this one falls out, I'm just gonna go ahead and break your water. He's like, because you're dilating, you're ready. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell anybody. So I held that thing I held it in. I didn't tell my husband, I didn't tell anybody, and I took a nap, because you do not need to be tired. Like, I was just like, I'm not about to be tired or nothing. I'm gonna eat my snacks, I'm gonna take me a nap, and then when I wake up, then I'm gonna tell my husband the Foley bulb fell out. So I didn't tell anybody. So I took like a good like 2-3 hour nap. When I woke up, I felt so refreshed. I was just like, all right, I'm ready to do this. So I woke up, my husband was like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm feeling good. And I told him, I think the Foley bulb fell out. He's just like, no, it didn't fall out. I was just like, no, it did. And he came over. He's just like, no, it didn't fall out. I said, I'm holding it in with my thigh. I said, if I move my leg right now, it's going to fall out. He said, like, what? So I moved my leg. The thing fell. It's just like, how long have you been like this? I said, after he put it in, it fell out like 5 minutes later. I was just holding on to it because I wanted to catch my breath. I wanted to, process this. I wanted to give myself a break and just let it happen, when I had rested and I had something to eat and I felt full and I felt good. So I was just like, so I didn't tell anybody. And my husband was like, I'm your teammate. Why didn't you tell me? I was just like, look, in that moment, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was just like, this is how I want to do it. I just want to have these 3 hours to rest. I don't want anybody. I just want to hold this thing with my thigh, pretend like it hasn't fallen. Called my nurse in. She was just like, oh, wow, yes, it fell out. Let me call the doctor right away. So I was just like, see, now I'm ready for this. 3 hours ago, I was ready for this. So I was like, let me lay down and, and so he came. He was like, oh, perfect. Let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and break your water. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then the nurse was like, let me put the peanut ball here. I was like, yeah, that's fine too. So the rest of the time I was sitting in there with the peanut ball there, and my husband was like, can you just please let me know if anything, like, keep me up to speed.
I love Nick.
He's just like, just please keep me up to speed. Because he's like there, he's just like, I just, don't want to, not be aware of what's going on. I was like, I know. I was like, that's the only secret I'm keeping today. I just wasn't ready for him to break my water. I wanted to just relax for a little bit, I came in, I'm already like a little nervous, and so I just wanted to calm myself down for a little bit, and so that's what I did. I gave myself some time to just relax. I knew the Foley bulb had came out, so I was like, okay, I know I'm dilating like at a good rate, so I want to relax. And so they put the peanut ball in, and so our nurse, she was like by the book. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. I want you to move around like this. I want you to do this. And so she was like, she said, "We're gonna get this baby out, girl." I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get this baby out." So she kept rotating that peanut ball. She was like, "Let's turn your body like this, just all these different positions and stuff like that." And she was just like, "If you're ever thirsty," because at this point they're just like, "Well, we don't want you." They say they don't want you eating or anything when you get so far along dilated, because just in case anything happens. And she would always be like, "I'll bring you something." She was just like, "Because you're gonna have this baby vaginal." So
Yes.
if she saw me getting like a little like tired while I was laboring, she would like bring me like ice pops and stuff like that. She was just like, "I'm gonna bring you something because you need your strength." And so by the end of her shift, like the last couple of hours, like I was like, "No." I told her, she's like, "Can I check you?" I was like, "No, I don't want to be checked right now." So I told her, like, I just want, just let me do what I'm doing. I'll let you check me before you go. But I was like, I don't want anybody checking me. I was just like, I just want to do my breathing exercises, because I just felt too, when people are just constantly checking you, I felt like it was kind of like making me tense up a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, how far have I gotten? I was just like, oh, just give me a couple hours of just with the peanut ball, and I'll keep rotating and doing my breathing, and then we'll do that. So shift change came. She was like, "Okay, well, I was hoping you would have the baby on my shift," but she was just like, "I know you're gonna have this baby soon." She was just like, I was like, "I appreciate it." So the next nurse came in. I'm just sitting there, just doing my breathing, peanut ball there. She's just like, "Hey, do you mind if I check you?" She's like, "Since the shift change," I was like, "Yeah, you can check me." I was like, "You can check me." She removed the peanut balls, and she's just like, "Can you close your legs?" I said, "No." I was like, "No, can you put the peanut ball back?" Because that thing was so comfortable. It was so comfortable. I was like, "Can you put the peanut ball back?" She was just like, "No, I cannot put the peanut ball back." She's like, "The baby head is like coming out." No, it's just like, I cannot put it back. I was just like, "Well, I'm not closing my leg." So she called the doctor, had him come in. He was just like, "I heard we're having a baby."
Oh.
I was like, so he came in. I was just like, "Yeah, we have a baby." And so, oh, this is the funny part, y'all. So I had asked my doctor. I was just like, because I remember from my first experience when I had my C-section, the doctors had like a playlist that they were playing, and everybody was vibing really good in there. You know, the anesthesiologist and the residents, the doctor, everybody, the nurses, they had like a flow. I was just like, that was like the most peaceful I felt for that, pregnancy. So this one, I was just like, let's set the mood. I was like, what do you guys like to listen to? I want to put some music on. And I asked my doctor, I was like, what do you work best with? And he was like, very honest. He was just like, well, I would, if I was the DJ, I don't think you would approve of the music, because it might get a little, it might get a little too hyped in here. It's like, it was like, it might just get a little too, it might get a little ratchet. I was like, okay. All right. Well, at least I know what you work best with. So
That is funny.
he just said it. He said, "Look, man, I don't want your son or daughter." He said, "I want your daughter to come out singing Wu-Tang or whatever. You just pick the music." And so I let Nick pick the music. And so Nick picked like an instrumental like music. It was like jazz mix something. It was like hip hop jazz mix, but it was a vibe, because everybody was like, "All right, I'm feeling this."
Wow.
It was a whole vibe. So doctor came in, he's like, "All right, let's do this." He said, "Looks like you only got to push like twice and the baby will be out." And so he was just like, "All right, now, just give me 2 big pushes and the baby will be out." And I was just like, I don't really want to push. But I was just like, okay, I'll entertain the pushing. So, so for 20 minutes, he was like, "Come on, the baby's right here. Come on, just give me, the baby's right here. You just gotta push." Like, so 20 minutes went by. The baby, she was coming out a little bit and then going right back up. He's like, when you push, she's coming out just a little bit, but then she's like going right back up. So he told everybody, let's just take a break. Let's just give her a break, He gave me a break. Everybody was taking a break. I was just like, I'm gonna do my deep breaths. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, everybody's joking, like they're laughing, having a good time, just, the mood was good, everybody's vibing. So I was like, well, everybody's distracted, I'm gonna go ahead and breathe this baby out.
Wow.
Like breathing in, hell, and I'm like, ooh, like move that baby on down. The next thing you know, the doctor looks, he's like, don't push no more. Keep doing what you're doing. And that's exactly what he said. Don't push at all. Breathe. Just give me like 3 deep breaths and this baby will be here. And I was just like, yeah, I know that. That's what I've been doing this whole time. That's what I've been doing all day, breathing this baby down. But I didn't tell him that. I'm just like, okay. So I'm doing, because, when nobody was paying attention, I was like, I can do this while everybody's distracted. Let me just go ahead and breathe her on out. Wow. But she was like coming out and he was just like, just give me a couple of deep breaths and she's here. I was just like, all right, calm down. I got this.
Gwen, stop.
That's what I'm just like, I've been waiting for you all to get distracted so I could breathe her out. So I went ahead and breathed her out. Oh my gosh, like she was just such a calm baby and everything. And so I'll never forget, the doctor was just like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You can't tell Black women they can't have VBACs. It's just like, and look at this, no tearing at all.
He did not.
She didn't even have to push. She breathed the baby out. Like he was like hyping himself up. Yeah.
Wow, Gwen.
He's like, now when we doing this again? When we having another baby? I was just like, hold on, man, slow down, man. You gotta recover first. Like you forgot postpartum part. He was super cool, and I mean, it was like amazing. He was just like, he was so hyped. We were all so, everybody was just like, yeah. And the thing about it is, like, he had a student with him. Her name was Margot, and because they had a baby born earlier that day, and I remember she came around. I had seen her like throughout every appointment because she was with him, and she was a student, and she was trying to get her. I think it was like her last year residency or something like that. So she was trying to, she's like, yeah, I haven't been able to deliver a baby yet. And she was like, her residency with this doctor was almost up. And I had seen her for like almost every appointment I had with this doctor. So when she had came in that morning, I was just like, well, you can deliver my baby. And so Margaret got to deliver my baby. And she was like, I could say it was just like a first for her, a first for me having to be back.
Yeah.
It was just like, look at this. It was just like such a beautiful experience. And Margot was just like so thankful that she was like able to be a part of that birth too. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, you've been with me on my appointment. So like, why would I not allow you to assist with my delivery?
Yes.
It was great. The student was hyped. The doctor was hyped. The nursing staff was hyped. Everybody was hyped. And as soon as that baby came out, the nurse came up and she was just like, we said we're breastfeeding, right, Mom? I said, yep. She popped that baby up there. She's like, here you go.
Wow.
Only 8 and shit. I was just like, that was something I did not get to experience with my first delivery. Because after I had my son, I saw him for a split second and he was like rushed off to the NICU. And like when I was able to go to the NICU, they told me that I couldn't practice breastfeeding until another 2 weeks because he was so small and it was a concern of him choking.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't even like allow me to attempt to breastfeed him until like a couple of weeks. They said like, no, he has to like strictly be like on the tube feeding until it's approved for you to do breastfeeding. I was like, he's my son. Like, what do you, what? And so this time, and that's, my baby's fine. He's healthy. He's here. So that's all that matters. But in that moment, I was very confused. I was like, I mean, it's natural for him to, is there something wrong with his airway? Like,
that's the thing that they don't. I love that you said that, Gwen, because there is risk. And I think that if they just explain the risk instead of giving the order,
yes,
then a mom would feel so much better about the decision.
Yeah, because they did not. They just told me. I was just like, "Can I try breast?" They were like, "No, you have to wait. Like, do not attempt to breastfeed him while you're in here. Like, wait until it's approved that he is approved to take food by mouth." But they didn't explain why. They just said like he could choke, and that's it. And I was just like, then I was confused. I was just like, then what's going on? Like now I'm thinking like, is there something wrong? Like,
Right.
bro, I was just like, okay, well, and the dads want my son to be healthy and happy, to be here. So I was just like, all right, well, we just can't try. But with her immediately coming out, the nurse immediately like plopping her on my chest, like letting her breastfeed. And they were just like, just, do you need any help with breastfeeding? Like, and the nurse was like, I know you didn't ask, but if, these are different angles and things that you can do if you ever have any issues tonight or whatnot. And me and baby girl just been rocking it. She's done like phenomenal. This time for sure. So we went home like as a family.
Wait. Because I know. We gonna wrap up soon. However, we could not just. I love how you describe your experience in the room, the control that you were in from the very beginning, from the decision to go in early in the morning, right, to holding the Foley bub between your legs,
Yes.
to just like taking control of your body, staying in control of your body, setting the mood. Because the one thing I remember very vividly, I remember a lot of things from your first story, but from our very first podcast episode, was how good they made you feel during the cesarean delivery. Like, if it's gonna be that I have to do this, then why not create an experience for me? One that I'm going to remember in a positive way, because most people know what comes after a preeclamptic delivery, NICU. Like, knowing that on the front end, why can't we just create an experience for you? In this second, I mean, they made it an experience. They made it a celebration, and it makes me so happy. So happy that you got to experience that, Gwen. Because I text Nick before you had that baby. I said, honey, you're not going to be able to do nothing with this chick. You're not going to be able to tell her anything. She is going to really realize her power. Like, she thought she was something before. Honey, you're not.
Superpower for real.
Yes.
Activated.
And you breathed Addie Grace out. And when I tell you, you talk about prayers, Ambra, when Amber came on board, I thought about her personality and how she loves on moms, and she just does it so naturally, so authentically, so genuinely, from a place of wanting moms to feel secure, feel seen. And she doesn't even live here, right? She doesn't live here, didn't really know you from Adam, but fell in love with you just like I did from the very first conversation, very first interaction. And I think that when our prayer group really came together, it was like we have a group, and then we have like what we're doing in between the group, and we were just like, this is going to be the best experience ever. And little did we know that God would be like, I will exceed your expectations.
Oh yes.
Time.
Good time.
Yeah. But go ahead. So y'all go home.
We go home, and so not that night, the next night they noticed that my blood pressure did creep up. And then so the day I went home, it started to come down. I was just like, okay, what did I eat? Because that's the first thing I went to. I was just like, what do we eat after we had this baby? And so I was like, well, Nick said, well, the only thing that was open was Chick-fil-A. So I was just like, okay, we had fast food. I was like, no fast food, flush, water. Just give me some fruits and vegetables and oatmeal, and like that's it. Like that's how we're gonna get this blood pressure down. And I was like drinking water nonstop because the nurse was just like, do you need like 2 or 3 more pitchers of water? I was just like, yeah, because I'm gonna drink all of them. I'm gonna drink 1, I need it for breastfeeding, and 2, like I'm getting this blood pressure down because I'm going home. When my baby go home, I'm going home. You're not keeping me here. My baby's going home.
That's right.
I was gonna be. And so we got my blood pressure down. I got a good blood pressure read, and we're able to go home. And then when we went home, my mom had created this big feast of food, and I was just like, I really can't eat any of this stuff here. I was just like, I will make a small plate and have like a little bit, but I cannot eat this food, like, because I mean, it's whole food. I can't have it.
Yes.
I just can't have it. Like right now, I just need to eat like strict food. And even just from that small plate, like my blood pressure shot through the roof the first night home. I did still have because I didn't take my medicine for my first pregnancy with Nikki J, so I had a lot of leftover medications. I had like labetalol and nifedipine. I was just like, I already know if I go in, they're gonna push fluids. Then they're going to, if they give anything, they'll give something for the day because they usually don't like giving anything. So I was just like, I checked my blood pressure and I weighed it and I saw that it just kept getting elevated. And so then I did contact Catherine right away. I was just like, hey, this is the situation. This is what's going on. I do have the labetalol. I was like, I'm not taking that nifedipine. Like, okay, I'm not doing that. But I do have the labetalol. And so we did discuss like, okay, I was comfortable because even if I went to the doctor, that's what I would have said. Like I know how I react with the labetalol, and I'm okay with taking like half a tablet and seeing where that goes and tapering off. And so after like that first 2 weeks, I was like super strict with my food. Like I did a half a tablet for maybe like 4 days, and I did like a fourth of a tablet, and then so forth, and then like tapered off of it, and blood pressure was beautiful. I was like, okay. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, oatmeal. We can do salmon, we can do shrimp, we can do fish, but that's it.
Yes. Yes. And Gwen, this is so good because sometimes when people get home, I love that you mentioned this part of your postpartum journey because sometimes when we get home, we get comfortable. I mean, you just had the birth of your life, the birth of your life, right? Baby's feeding, everything. We have to think about within those first 2 weeks, our bodies have a really hard time of adjusting. And you knew that. So you're checking. I think that I don't know why we don't check other than, I mean, we're busy. Like we're busy. We have a lot of things to do. And so, but you were so diligent about checking. You were in the habit. You had already created the habit of being aware of every vital sign your body can possibly give to you. Right. And so turning down those really nice meals and making sure not to eat out, even though it's convenient, like you saved yourself from going back into a situation that you knew you didn't want to be in. I mean, high blood pressure surrounding delivery, when research talks about it and how it spikes within that first week following delivery, it goes up for most people by like day 6. And if we're not watching the spike and we just keep going about life how we would, we can miss it. And that's how we end up with unnecessary complications. And so your journey, the beauty of your journey is not only that you chose a team that you felt you could trust and who believed in you, but you made the decisions to keep yourself safe, to protect your baby, to make sure that y'all weren't separated. That matters, and I think that part is the hardest part, right? To self-regulate the things that, because people are doing nice things. They're doing them from a good place. You don't want to inconvenience anybody. You don't. And it's just like, no, I have to do what's best for me, and I have to weigh all of my options and I have to thrive. Like that's what you just chose to thrive. And I think that when we choose not to monitor, when we choose not to know, then we're putting ourselves in a situation where we could have a complication and it just go unseen. And nobody else is watching you like you postpartum. Nobody, right? Like you are the person who's with you every day. You can check your watch 24/7, your app. You can see, just like you did before you got pregnant, how the food you're putting into your mouth is impacting your body. And you did that. You did that so beautifully. And that's why you have the postpartum journey that you have, I think that throughout your journey, one thing that we didn't talk about, I remember when you and Nick took Nikki J to a water park. Maybe it was Great Wolf Lodge. And I remember that most people, when they go to water parks on vacation, they want to have fun, sun up to sundown. I'm getting my money's worth, And you guys looked at your dad and was like, okay, today is a movie day. We're just going to sit. Because you knew that Nick knew that your body wasn't ready for what a water park would bring. And it's just that awareness, those day-to-day decisions, that's what keeps us safe. It's what we choose to do minute to minute. And you have just chosen to take every step that led to you being here and thriving today. It is such a beautiful, beautiful place to be. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch. Yeah.
And I will say, Nick still does. Like, if when he gets up in the morning, because he's an early bird, he gets up, he'll check my data, and then if he like how it flows, that determines, all right, this is what we doing today. Like, nope. Like, if he sees like if it's orange, he's just like, all right, he'll get up early, he'll get the babies, he'll go downstairs. I'll sleep in, and I'll wake up. I'll be like, where is everybody? He's like, your watch was orange, or your body battery was low, or your like whatever it is. He was just like, nope. He was just like, I checked your watch, like this is what it was. And that's what he was. That is definitely the difference between the first time and last time, because he's able to see himself. He'll just go in, since he gets up early, he's like, let me see how she's looking today. And he's just like, okay, this is what we're doing today, this is how we're gonna go about today. And that's basically how we've been able to get our rhythm. He's just like, or he'll even like call my sister, like, hey, can you come over today? Or call mama. He'll call somebody's coming over. Like, I know her like stress is a little high, or whatever the case may be. Can you guys come over? Can you stop by? Can you hang out with her for a little while just to make sure she's okay? And sometimes I wake up like, what are you doing here? Like, oh, Nick just wanted us to stop by to make sure you were okay. I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. We're just moving a little slow this morning. Like, okay, do you need any help with anything? And so I'm just like, I'm so thankful for him. I'm so thankful for Operation Mist for educating both of us on, how to use this data in our daily lives, because now we know, like, okay, like when this is showing up, this is what we need to do. So now I'm definitely using the data, relying heavily on it. Now I'm able to see like, okay, I haven't drank enough water today, or what did I eat today, just to make sure, just to keep my blood pressure down, like keep it where it's at in good range, and also just making sure I'm hydrating myself since I'm breastfeeding this time, because this is new for me, the breastfeeding.
Yeah.
First time, and so I was just like, man, I wasn't feeling good like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, my blood pressure's up, like what's going on? And all it turned out, I was like, I needed sleep. I wasn't getting like straight through sleep. I was waking up in the night to breastfeed, but I needed like 2 nights of like not getting up to breastfeed. And so 2 nights, and then like I just hydrated so much. I pumped the milk, and I was so thankful my husband like stepped in. He's like, okay, I'm gonna do the feeds, you're gonna sleep tonight. He's like, you're gonna sleep the whole night, I'm just gonna do the feeds. Because I love, especially since I didn't get to do it the first time, I love feeding her from the breast.
Me too.
But sometimes you have to get a full night's sleep.
Yes.
You just have to. Like, so your body is going to, if it asks for it, give it what it needs.
Yes. Yes.
Like I was like, okay, baby girl, I guess daddy's taking over tonight. But he loves it. He loves both of those babies so much, and so it was just a blessing for him. And he's just fun. He's just phenomenal. I can't give him enough kudos. He's just, man, he goes over and beyond for our family.
Yes, I know. That's how we even came up with the Miss Dads. Like watching you guys, you and Tiana and Mark, I was just like, dads play such a huge role, and they just need to know what to do, and they do very well with data.
They do.
So yeah,
they have the facts. Okay, this is what we doing.
Yes. Okay, so you owe us, because I wrote down what you said. Give your body what it asks for. If your body asks for it, give it. That's the whole premise. We as women have to take care of ourselves. There is no way, if you let your blood pressure skyrocket, you would be in the hospital. Addie Grace would be home with your family. You would be in a bad situation, right? You have protected that space so well. So anything that you want to say before we close out, any advice that you have for moms or for dads or providers, whatever is on your heart to say, I just want to give you space to say that, even though, you said a whole lot already that I know people are just going to be able to latch onto and have better, safer journeys, as a result.
I would say, especially from this experience, for providers, speak life into your patients. Just I can't say that enough. Like, truly advocate for them. This provider, Dr. Chambers, like, shout out to him. Like, he spoke life into me when he went in there, and he just told me straight, like, this is what I want this for you, and I hope that you want this too, because I know your body can do this. And so I was so thankful that he was just upfront and just like, this is what I want for you. He was like, if this is not what you want, I respect your decision, but I want this for you, and I believe you can do this. And so, just speaking life over your patients, and just like listening, actively listening, and just not just throwing out like just general statistics, but just seeing your patients as your patient. Like, don't compare them, like, individual unique plans. Just that, I just can't advocate that enough. But I just can't advocate that enough to speak life into them. For moms, listen to your bodies. Now, I would say the best thing, get in tune with your bodies. If you're not, this is the best thing that I've ever done. Just with Operation Mist, I have gotten to know my body, and it's changed so much in the years I've been with, from postpartum with my son to pregnancy and postpartum again. I see the differences in like foods, like everything, activities, certain things that didn't bother me may now. It's just like, just listen to your bodies, get a baseline, and be the best version of you. Let's be the best version of you that you can possibly be, because that is gonna work wonders for you and your family. So get in the best health, best shape as possible, and just honor your body. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, self-discipline. It is something I had to learn the hard way. Like, but at the end of the day, I was just like, if it comes between medical interventions and me exercising self-discipline, I am going to exercise self-discipline all the way. If it's something that I can help control, then I'm going to control it, because I would prefer to proactively go about it than to, on the backside, wait to see if the medication or if the procedure will work. So do what you can do on the forefront, take care of you, listen to your body. And if you need rest, take rest. Yeah. Or if you need to fast, like sometimes I'll wake up and I just need to fast. Like, okay, my body just needs fluids right now. Like, it'll let me know when I'm hungry. And so for husbands and all the support, I would just say, and my husband says this too. He was just like, for husband, wife, partners, like, make sure to exercise patience with one another, because like you said, like, your body's changing. The family dynamics is changing, and so you're learning there's a new rhythm. You're both learning something new every single day. And so one of the things that we did different this time with our daughter is every morning we would wake up, we would have a game plan the night before, and at the end of the day we would sit down, like, for the first few weeks, and we still do this. We'll just be like, okay, hey, how are we doing? How are you feeling? Is there anything that we can do differently that can help you out, that can, like, how are things, like, and being completely transparent. Like, it doesn't matter how big or how little it is. Like, even when Nick just gets up in the morning right after I'm breastfeeding, he'll just immediately get her and go change her diaper. Even like small things like that, like, it just makes the world of a difference. Like, oh man, he's just like, nope, I got it. You fed her, I'm gonna change her. And so we do that. So just communication, and just having patience with each other, because you both want the best. And so remember, you are on a team together. You're not against, you're with each other. So just love on each other, and just have patience with each other, and have patience with yourself as you're going through it. And you're growing. And so and pray. God above everything. Okay. Like, lean into your faith for real, because that is what's going to see you through it all.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast, for having this conversation, for just being who you are as a woman. You are an example to me in a lot of different areas, and a lot of the tips that you give us, not only here, but on our Sunday night calls, and, the encouragement that you give via text messages. You are a light everywhere you go. And I am grateful that God allowed you to birth humans that will be in his army,
Oh,
to win people over to him, because if they are even a fraction of the expression of love and grace and joy and friendship that you are, the world would be a beautiful, beautiful place. So thank you.
thank you.